Welcome to Peace Freaks, a parenting and family podcast for the freaks, geeks, nerds, and weirdos, the outcasts who went on and had their own. We're used to being the exception to the rule, so come along with us as we try to also live exceptionally. We're here to help make you the best version of your freaky family. Welcome, everyone, to episode number 132 of Peace Freaks. I am Nikki P, here as always with my lovely wife and co-host, Lizzie.
Hello.
How are you doing, babe?
Pretty good. Wow, really?
Only pretty good?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
What was the really for?
Oh, because I heard a notification on my end. Apparently that did not get into the feed and wouldn't have been noticed if I hadn't said anything about it, so.
I don't know.
Oh, well.
Probably not, but, such is how this works.
Yes, I'm caffeinated and sugarified, so there you go.
So let's start it out like we always do. What have everybody been reading? Well, we won't say a week. This is going to be, a week after the episode prior to it, but it's been weeks since that one was recorded, and I need to get better at editing in a timely manner. But hey, I was sick in there, and
yeah, we're just getting back into the groove here.
Yeah, I'm rejuvenated. So let's start with our books. Why don't you go, since you only have one you've been reading, Liz?
I've basically just been listening to the Bible on audiobook all month.
The Bible, written by a bunch of dudes, is the author.
That's the way I'm looking at it.
It's the appropriate way to look at it, the historically accurate way of looking at it.
Yeah, it's not accounting for inspiration, but whatever. It's interesting to read as a whole. I will say that, because the beginning parts lead into the ending parts, and it all you notice connections. So it's been all right. How about you? What have you been reading?
There's one hell of a horror story in there for everybody. If you never read Revelations, it's the good stuff.
Revelations is some stuff, but there's stuff throughout the whole doggone book. People get tent pegs through their head and stuff. It's rough in there some parts.
Yeah, I always loved how there's two gods in the book.
Well, no, there's not. There's one.
No, there's two. You people just refuse to admit that he's either a schizophrenic or,
I see.
Because, you don't go from, man, all of that smiting in the first book to hey, let's all be chill in the second book.
I don't know that there's as much let's all be chill in that second book as you think there is.
Oh, no, it's plenty there.
Because I'm listening to it, I'm like, dude, those standards seem ridiculously high. What are we talking about here? I thought this was the cool dude that was your buddy and stuff.
Well, honey, this is, it is what it is.
And like we were talking about earlier, they're ostensibly heathen kings in the OT.
The OGOT.
That, God's talking to, trying to keep them from getting smited. Yeah, Moana.
Well, I've been reading old books too, just, not that old. Although I think some of those books were written about the same time period, now that I think about it. I don't know. So I've been working my way through an H.G. Wells compilation of all of his science fiction books.
Oh, nice.
So I have put down The War of the Worlds.
Okay.
The First Men in the Moon, which actually was a really interesting book. That one I'd never read before, but it was good. And also The Time Machine.
Now, my question about The First Men in the Moon, is it are they going up to space? Is that...
The idea is that this guy invents space travel.
Okay, so what I want you to do is read the first book in C.S. Lewis's Space Trilogy, and I want to compare notes because he mentions that he was inspired by H.G. Wells, that particular kind of idea, and I want to know how similar the two things are. So,
I can do that. I really should read more C.S. Lewis, anyways. But I will say, the whole time I'm reading these books, I'm thinking Warehouse 13.
That time machine is in there somewhere.
Well, no. H.G. Wells is a character in Warehouse 13.
It's been a little while since I saw it, but yeah, I seem to remember something about that.
H.G. Wells is the hot girl.
Yeah. And you're just like, oh, okay. That's an interesting place to take that.
Yeah, they make her a hot woman. And by the way, for all of the, the people out there that are like, you and your hatred for social justice, I'm like, no, not at all. Guess what? H.G. Wells played as a woman was fucking awesome. Oh, wait, because they didn't beat me over the fucking head with it. They just made H.G. Wells a woman, and it was awesome.
Right. And they just let it be awesome.
Just write the fucking thing well. That's all you have to do. I will buy into anything. I would have had no problem if Doctor Who was a woman, if they just didn't make it a shitty, overly written, bullshit that it was. And if it'd been, Olivia. That was the shit.
I mean, if she knew she was going to end up being the doctor responsible for retconning the entire history of Doctor Who, I probably wouldn't have signed up for that either. So,
well, but I think if you had someone in there capable of playing the role, they wouldn't have retconned it.
Maybe.
Or maybe anyone that just was like a normal human being. Oh, well, ruined Doctor Who for me. That's all they did.
I just want to see what happens with this stupid LOTR series so I can just know if I can chalk it up or not.
Right on. So, folks, welcome to Peace Freaks. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, or you have a parenting story you want to share, a product or service you think families might appreciate, or just an idea for a topic, you can get a hold of us at peacefreaks@nickpicone.com. Otherwise, Liz, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about our home, actually, and homes in general, and kind of what people look for in their home.
We're doing this again?
Well, no, I mean, yeah, technically, but basically, what growth your family goes through that leads you to the home that you have, and then how you kind of grow into or out of the home you have currently and into the next thing. Because that's what we're doing right now. We're looking forward.
Well, we'll get more into this saga.
Yes, the epic saga.
Let's hit this song, and then when we come back, we'll be deep into the thick of things.
Or my family, or my wife, or my house, or my life, all the things that I am that you want.
How can my boss always act now and talk about the problems that the cause and the cash now with no intent to solve? Not compassion, pass all the fabricated sad self, and all of us call all fascists.
Yeah, I look so uncomfortable from your ancient shot to your trigger pulls. Your cocky name is copies on me, face all I'm about to tell me, I'll check my pulse.
To be honest, I feel bad for you. Special extended education was just a tool for slowly chipping away at your brain and your wallet. Now you're more in debt and you're more of a fool. I'll be over here doing my thing, and when you're ready to talk, just let me know. Till then, just stay the hell up out of my lane or take your place back there, it's more comfortable, yeah.
Never take advice or critique from a guy that is less successful. Whenever they tell the lies, just to let it remind you you're right, just impress them. All your broken, you can see yourself, since you just wanna be noticed, take your shit to show and tell.
I know you're scared all the other kids in the class might laugh at you like you've been doing to everybody.
All right, we are back to discuss housing and expectations and desires and how those change in life. So how did we end up at the place we're at here, Liz?
Well, we had a kid, and
I'm getting more than anything, I'm curious to see what you remember.
well, I know, because I was so just bleary-eyed and exhausted through most of that. But we had a kid, and we were in an apartment, which was a walk-up over a parking lot in the middle of a, busy street kind of area. And
It was a nice neighborhood, just not.
it was a nice neighborhood, yeah. Just nowhere to, let your toddler go outside and play, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you wanted to walk over to the park. So we started looking for another place. Actually, there was issues with the apartment itself, or we might not have started looking really.
Yeah, so they had the company, or the building was being bought by a company out of Florida. And so all of a sudden one day there was a heavy rain, and the asbestos ceiling in the basement fell into the washing machine with all of our cloth diapers.
Yes, which that ruined a lot of days, let me tell you.
And I was angry and said, fine, we're leaving. And so we did. I think we think we're at a month to month by then.
Yeah, I mean, they were really not interested in continuing to be an apartment building was the bottom line. So we figured, it was time to cut and run
Yes.
anyway, and that was just sort of the straw that broke the camel's back.
And mind you, we'd moved into that apartment because it was the nicest place we could find after the water was going to be cut to our last place because the landlord refused to pay it because he was in a dispute with the city water.
Yes.
Had nothing to do with us.
No.
But like I couldn't not have water. I have a job.
Useful thing.
Need to shower and whatnot. So we had a long history of finding places when, shit sucked, I guess.
Right.
So we ended up moving in here because my requirements, I wanted to find a place cheaper, but with a kid, because then it brought the occupancy up to 3.
Right.
We had a minimum of the size place that we can rent legally or who would take us in. And basically everything that we couldn't find anything cheaper legally.
Basically, yeah.
Like we would have been happy to go and do an efficiency for a while to save up money.
Right. But that's not something you're allowed to do.
Unfortunately, yes.
And we weren't interested in moving to, a place where we'd have to worry about getting mugged on our way out of the door every morning. So,
yes, or moving to like the deep, deep hood.
yeah.
Did not want that. So we ended up lucking out in that a musician friend of mine, Chris, like his girlfriend, fiance, whatever, they were moving, I think, to Washington or Virginia or someplace out by like, the government. They got a sweet job and they were moving out. And I knew that he had band practice there. So I'm like, okay, we'll see what the landlord can give us the place for. And because I know we can have band practice there. That's like that was my big priority. Was like, we need to be able to have band practice at the location. I'm not taking my crap anywhere to rehearse. And then the other one was I really wanted a yard. And we lucked out and had both things. We're in a very, very quiet neighborhood here, fairly close to the city. It's like 11 minutes for me to get to work in the morning.
Right.
So had all of the things that really I was looking for. Now, we fast forward 6 years later.
Yep.
Like Irma was 1 when we moved in. She's going to be 7 next month.
Yes.
And the world has changed drastically.
Yes. All of those things.
In particular, in the last year. And, what we're looking for is very different now. Since they're, basically, my reason for living in a city was gigging. But we're in a situation now where I don't gig. So what's the point in me being in the city, paying city rents to not do the thing that I was here to do? So we're looking for, a very different thing ideally. Now, where this all gets complicated is because we're not sure, I guess, right now what the financial situation will be in the exact time period that whatever we're going to do comes up. Theoretically, I have some money coming that if it comes, I'll probably try and buy a house. Now, if said money doesn't come, we will probably be in a situation where we have to rent probably for another year, waiting for that moment to buy. So what are your thoughts on the whole thing? It's a very, I guess maybe even just the experience of the change seems like it's really kind of got you thinking.
Well, it was just interesting kind of going through and looking at what brought us to this place and what we're interested in now. I guess the music thing, it was a big thing because that was a huge part of our lives. It just people coming in, storing equipment, all of those things. And this place has been awesome for that. And our kid, being able to have a yard to play in was huge.
Well, just a street to walk down that wasn't a city street. It was,
yeah.
We live in a neighborhood.
Yeah, it was all very important. And, she's grown up knowing the people around us and the neighbors, and that's kind of cool. And the yard, itself has become, we started with starting plants and totes and then kind of moved more into actually using the space around us. And now we have, some really ambitious goals for what we'd like to do growth-wise.
Well, and therein lies one of the problems is that so our yard is mostly covered by tree cover, or the buildings themselves are 2 stories around it in every direction.
Yes.
So there's very little of it that gets the sunlight that's required to actually grow things for any length of time. So that's a major change. Now, I don't know if we're going to move into a place for gardening in our next move.
Right.
Because I think we're going to try whatever we may try and do if we do apartment wise, we may just try and make it as cheap as possible.
Yeah, just really simplify and keep saving up, because now that we've made some really good habits in that direction, a year or two of cutting costs in that department could really pay off.
Well, I mean, cost cutting may be necessary in general after last week.
Yeah, there's that. There was I was in a car accident, unfortunately.
Yeah, for those of you who recall us talking about our life changes.
Yeah.
In which we were like, oh man, I got to find a new job or find something new. We, and then the apartment and the house were like, not going to be here anymore. The following week is when we totaled the car.
Right. So now that's going to be changing. Yes.
Now we are Hassan's car. I have seen Irma cry out of sheer terror of change so many times this month. It's just,
We were just talking about ripping that Band-Aid off because we went through so much trouble to just give her like stability, and this is your home, and this is your neighborhood, and this is stuff that I definitely did not have as a kid.
Well, and it's stuff that I take for granted that I've had my whole life. Like my parents still live in the house I grew up in.
So it was really important to us to establish that for her.
No, granted, as a college kid, I lost my shit when my grandparents moved.
Yeah.
And got rid of their house. Yeah.
Because apparently it was dope.
No, it was strictly that they changed it.
Oh, okay.
How dare they?
I see. But yeah, so this is an exercise in coping for her also.
Now, so what are you looking for, like, I guess, in the next ideal place? I know we had a whole episode where we talked about what we were looking for not terribly long ago, but how much of that has changed?
I mean, I think we, I tend to idealize a lot, and I can kind of get off in dreamland. But really specifically, just, more independent space, more control over our space is probably what I want.
What kind of control is?
Like not being in an HOA. I've looked at a couple places, just, what's out there renting wise and whatnot. And some of the requirements are bazonkas.
Oh, what's hilarious is Liz sends me an agreement for a trailer park. Because we're entertaining cheaper options.
Yeah.
And she's just like, oh, Nick, are you sure this is something we would want to accept? I'm like, no. We're not. If we get a trailer, I want a single trailer on a private lot, not a fucking trailer park. Those places are nuts. Like, haven't you ever watched Trailer Park Boys?
Well, I have, but they're just...
There's a reason that show exists, Liz.
Flouting all the rules anyway, but oh my goodness.
Have you ever seen Parma? Do I need to go any further?
It's a lovely city. It's a lovely city.
Is it really now? Machine Gun Kelly.
I know.
So, lovely city, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean,
It's just that guy.
It is what it is.
Look, I'm not a Cleveland native. I don't have to pretend anything.
Yeah, I feel you.
I don't have to pretend that Mushroom Head is a good band or, better than Corey Taylor and Slipknot, like, because they're not.
Yeah.
They're okay at best.
Yeah. That's fair. What about you? What about, has anything changed in your mind towards the next intentional place, like not the stopgap, but...
Well, I think I've given up on almost a lot of the less traditional housing ideas.
Okay.
Like, I think we really should focus on maybe perhaps a small house, but definitely like a standard house. Because I probably would rather spend all the time, like, if I'm going to go subterranean, like, I'm going to do it with greenhouses.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we definitely talked about the schooly thing, and then, watched as all the schooly families I'm following on Instagram, like, started buying houses and apartments because they just couldn't do the schooly thing. And I imagine that's not everybody, but there's a bunch of them.
Well, and that's one of the big things that I think has really changed over the past year is that everything's so crazy out there. All the states, like, you don't know from day to day, week to week, border to border, what's going to be going on in any state. So it's like, it wouldn't even begin to know how to navigate that. So spending any amount of time thinking about traveling seems like it would be almost like, what's the point?
It would require more effort than, I think we really wanted to put toward it.
Well, I don't think it would be the effort. I just don't think it would be able to do it in any meaningful way the way things are.
Yeah. And then we talked about the Earthship thing, kind of in passing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's like a less standard housing option, and everything I've read about it, it's certainly not appropriate for up here. We'd posted for a brief moment, considering, like, what about Tennessee? I got a lot of friends down there, a lot of people that we know. I even have family down there, so we'd considered moving down there. But I just think for us, at least at the moment, there's fewer moving parts in trying to stay here and find something further out of the city. But,
And, I do have to say, thank God. One thing I have learned since the accident, that Friday, was that we do actually have, some community here and some support system that has really been kind of invaluable in this time. So, the thought of moving away from that, even to, I'm sure awesome new support system that we would build, it has its drawbacks for sure.
I don't know the support system that you speak of, but
okay, that's fair.
I don't know the people you're talking of. I know that some nice lady at work has been giving Liz rides to work, so that's pretty dope.
She has. Our farmer that we have our herd share with, has been bringing milk out to us. Our butchers, have been doing the deliveries here. My family's been helping out as they can. They can only do so much, but it is what it is. I mean, any sort of change is going to be a big change, but I guess there was more here than I thought of. And we do have friends here that are cool.
Well, and I'm going to poke and prod at Liz for next episode to actually be tackling some of the things that she's had to grapple with in the past few weeks about people.
Oh, friends.
Where her emotional state really is.
That's a whole thing that's been happening lately too, yeah.
I guess. She's just been having panic attacks because Liz is prone to panic attacks is how I read it.
Okay, that's fair.
So, at any rate, it was kind of a little look at what we're dealing with as far as how looking for a home changes at various times in your life and, dependent upon what your life is at any given moment.
Sure.
It makes sense that our life and what we look for wouldn't be the exact same as what we used to have because our life is theoretically going to be very different moving forward. Resilience and the ability to kind of take care of ourselves is far more important than, the idea of being near a city center where I can theoretically make more money because that option's off the table right now. So let's listen to this next track and then we'll get into our outro. All right, babe, we are back.
Yep.
So we got some questions for you. What's been going on the gardening front since we don't know where we're going to be?
Well, the gardening, I actually started getting some seeds in bottles and stuff. And then we had, the polar vortex thing happened, which, obviously, thank God it wasn't as bad here as in a lot of places, but it was certainly very cold.
I've still had trouble getting into my driveway every day of it, so.
Yeah, so that kind of seemed to put a damper on the ones that I'd already put out. And then we've got, the prospect of moving, and we've got to do walkthroughs and prep for selling the place. So you don't really necessarily want to have all of your homesteading dirty projects all over the house in that situation. So
Well, moreover, I mean, if we're not going to be here, like, where are we going to plant everything in the backyard?
Right. Also that,
Where's it all going to be?
yeah. We kind of need to make the yard, a standard suburban, hey, there's grass kind of yard again. So yeah, it definitely changes things as far as our growing. But we still have our supplies, we still have our plans.
Yeah, I think we're just going to take a wash on this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, whatever the next iteration is. And we have put a lot more into just stocking and pantry management and whatnot. So that's going to be the homesteading approach.
How many weeks can we go without having to buy meat if we want to?
At this point, 6, which is far more than we had available to us at the beginning of the whole coup thing. So
I'm all about it.
yeah.
So obviously things have changed there. How about on the homeschooling front? Where are we at with homeschooling?
Well, I mean, as we mentioned, we've been doing a lot of just dealing with life and learning to cope and whatnot. Well, obviously, schooling is still going on, but there's a lot of conversations just about life and what you do to continue to function, and mom and dad and jobs and houses, and we got a cool kiwi crates. That was fun.
Like, we had a bunch of kiwi crates we did this week.
Yeah, which is always, I mean, it's great because it's an easy learning opportunity. Totally takes the pressure off mom and dad to come up with like how to do it, what to do, and all the instructions are there, and you can just kind of sit there and enjoy, building cool stuff with your kid.
Her mind was blown at the mirrors and optics one that she did today.
Yeah.
And then we do the Atlas and the kiwi crates. The Atlas one, Kenya was the country that we were discussing, and they had her build binoculars.
Yeah, which is very cool.
Yeah, there's slide binoculars, so like pull the front away from the back, and it changes the magnification. And that's pretty fun.
It is very, very cool stuff. Totally worth the cost of admission there.
I tend to agree.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else that you need to get out there? It's been a minute since we've been doing this regularly, but we're back in the saddle. Like, legitimately, this is going to come out a week after another episode.
Yes.
There's going to be episodes between them, theoretically. I've been editing everything, and oh my god, we have some great interviews. Like, one of the big things that I've really wanted to do in the past couple months is I really want to approach this and come at it kind of really trying to hammer the signal to noise ratio. And I think the next month, at the very least, like what we've recorded, is definitely going to hammer home our signal to noise ratio and make that really, really good. Because it's definitely going to be a lot of really good information for parents, especially ones that are kind of outside the box.
Yeah, just trying to show y'all what Peace Freqs be out.
We actually talked to these awesome people with unqualified parenting, talking about blended parenting. We have my friend Ginger Christensen is going to be on later this month, where we talk to her about kind of living the countercultural lifestyle as an adult and raising kids. Because, I think she's, the Red Queen?
Yeah.
Someone who's done work as a dominatrix and works in the goth arts scene and, has a son. And so we have a lot of really interesting episodes coming up, and I'm really excited to be getting those out finally. Most of them I've been sitting on for a month thinking, man, I can't wait to release these, but man, I don't want to edit anything. It was just all that upheaval, maybe? Is that what it was?
I mean, there's been a lot of upheaval just trying to kind of find our legs again after having things rocking a bit. So,
all right, folks, we're having so much fun here. But what would be more fun is if we grew that community. So what I want y'all to do is head on over to peacefreaks.com, spell it whichever way you like. You can get the show notes or links to connect with us wherever you want to connect with us. I think we're on most of them. Really, I only use MeWe these days. And frankly, you should sign up for the email because the way the purges and all that stuff's been happening, if you listen to our episode with Dan Smots, you know how crazy that is. You definitely should get on our email list, which is easy enough to do. You just email us. Click the button that says message, and then it'll let me know what your email is. And I'm like, yes, people to contact and cool stuff happens. You can go to any of the places. In particular, if you want to get on iTunes and like and share and, give us a rating and a review, that'll absolutely help us out within the algorithms and help build and give us more people that we can connect with. And we can help spread the message of like, hey, you can still be you and be a parent, and still be awesome. If you do want to help us in the monetary ways, you can go to upgradetheshow.com, and that'll allow you to do that. Helps us offset the costs of running things, and anything extra we'll actually use at some point to help advertise and get more people that way. So if you do any of the above, like give us some money or give us a review and all that on iTunes, let me know. Send us your email that reason so I can shout you out on the show and be like, yes, this person's awesome. They're helping us grow. And, even if you just want to make that an advertisement for you, we can do that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I can just advertise me. Head on over to nickpicone.com. And if you're looking for a voice actor, I'm currently looking for work because I'm about to be jobless real quick. Or if you need a small webpage built for your business, I can do that too. Otherwise, take it easy, folks.
Thanks for listening.
This podcast is a proud creation of the Mad Audio Lab. For more information, check out madaudiolab.com.